Hello students, welcome to Mr. Giles' World History class. We're talking about Chapter 6, Section 1, the Scientific Revolution. So the first question that should be on your PDP Cornell notes is, what were the roots of modern science? So before 1500, most scholars referred to the Bible or tradition when explaining the universe. They listened to the ideas of people such as Aristotle, who said that the moon, sun, and planets all revolved around the Earth. And that was known as the geocentric theory. It was supported for a couple reasons. One, it's what people saw, which means, when they looked outside, they could see the sun set, and they could see the moon, and they could see the clouds move, and they just assumed that the Earth was standing still while the rest of the universe was moving around it. Also, Christianity taught that the Earth was at the center of the universe, and that God deliberately placed Earth there. And so that made Earth a special place. So eventually this led to the scientific revolution, a new way of thinking about the natural world, which was supported by new observations, discoveries, and explorers, and their need for navigational instruments. So for example, navigators needed instruments to see where they were going in different locations, instruments like compasses. And these explorers, by traveling, also gained new ideas. And so that was another part of the discovery process, is that people started to see new things, discover new parts of nature, and realize that there was maybe a little bit more to the universe than what they originally thought. So your next question should be, what was the new revolutionary model of the universe? Well, there was a Polish astronomer named Copernicus, Nicholas Copernicus, and he did not feel that the geocentric theory accurately explained the movements of the sun, the moon, and the planets. And so after studying the planets for over 25 years, he reasoned that it was actually the stars and the Earth and other planets that revolved around the sun. And this was known as the heliocentric theory. Now, what's interesting about Copernicus is he didn't actually reveal his findings until the last year of his life, because he was afraid that they would be contradicted, because they contradicted religious views, and because he still hadn't figured out why planets orbited the way that they did. And it did cause a bit of a stir. Another person who caused a bit of a stir was Galileo Galilei. And Galileo built his own telescope and made a couple discoveries. A couple notable ones was that the moon was a rough surface, and originally Aristotle's theory was that the moon and the stars were made of a pure, perfect substance. He also discovered Jupiter's moons. The Catholic Church denounced Galileo's claims, and he ended up staying under house arrest until his death. And what I want you to ask yourself and be prepared to answer on a test possibly is, why did the Catholic Church fear Galileo's discoveries? And we'll discuss this in class. So what is the scientific method? The scientific method is a logical procedure for gathering and testing ideas. So it starts with an observation. So we make observations, then we create a hypothesis. We experiment and test that hypothesis, then analyze or interpret the data, and then draw conclusions, either confirming our hypothesis or changing it. Two scientists that helped advance this approach were Francis Bacon, and he developed empiricism, or the experimental method, and René Descartes, who developed analytical geometry and basically used math to test theories rather than science. Both men challenged traditional and medieval thinking, and both men gave us a better understanding of the natural world. Isaac Newton was an English scientist, and he helped bring together breakthroughs under a single theory of motion. He believed that all objects were affected equally by the same force. So to test that, he dropped two objects, one much heavier than the other, and found that they both had the same force on the way down. The law of gravity states that every object attracts other objects, and he stated that the universe worked like a clock. He believed that all the parts worked together and could be expressed mathematically, and that God was the creator of an orderly universe, the clockmaker who had set everything in motion, according to the book. So there were a number of advances in technology that helped spread the scientific revolution. One was scientific instruments like the microscope that led to the examination of bacteria and the first examining of red blood cells, a barometer that help us better understand the weather, and thermometer to better understand temperatures. In areas like medicine and the body, the first dissections of human corpses took place, which I know is kind of gross, but it gave us our first images of bones and organs and muscles. And also the smallpox and cowpox vaccinations were invented. In chemistry, Robert Boyle, who's known as the founder of chemistry, came up with a theory known as Boyle's Law, which explains how volume, temperature, pressure of gas all affect each other. These notions of reason and order led to a re-examining of rights and liberties, which is a very important aspect of the scientific revolution that you need to understand, is that these new inventions changed the way people thought about the natural world, and also changed the way people thought about things like liberty, human rights, and so forth. So some of the key things that you need to get or understand from section 1. That the heliocentric theory changed the way scientists viewed the universe. That the scientific method allowed scientists to test theories and hypotheses and challenge long-held beliefs about science and the universe. That discoveries made by Galileo, Bacon, Descartes, and Newton greatly impacted society and contributed to the scientific revolution. The scientific revolution continued thanks to new tools and instruments, the study of the human body, medicine, and developments in chemistry. And breakthroughs in science challenged long-held beliefs and contributed to the democratic ideas that we know today, such as liberty and human rights. Thank you for your time. I hope this helps, and we'll see you in class on Wednesday.